All right, family. Here we are, 2021. And who would have thought that my first reboot of the year would have been on the craziness of what we are experiencing right now? And tragically, Donald Trump has told us for all of his life who he is. And I believe it was Maya Angelou that says when someone shows you, so I'm going to call this a paraphrase, who they are, we must take them at face value. We must hear them. We can't, with all of what we have in us, we cannot make somebody be what we want them to be. And so too often we allow things like this to run away. We allow it to get away. We allow it, and I have been responsible myself for just really wanting to believe in people that say they're going to do the right thing. Now, that's not Trump. I don't think he's ever said he was going to do the right thing. But the bottom line is he caused a lot of people or convinced a lot of people to think that he was going to do the right thing. Kind of like when he says, there's never been anybody that supported the black people more than I do. I would have been afraid to be standing near the man for the chance of God just saying, you know what? I'm tired of you messing with my people and be hit by the thunder or the bolt of lightning that happens when God says, you know, enough is enough. And here we are. I am somebody. I've watched what's been going on here today. I've had some business to tend to. I got other things to deal with. And I had not planned on doing a reboot just yet. But I want us to understand that at some point in time in our lives, we got to stop, push the button, what is it, Control-Alt-Delete, and start all over. Let it all just shut down and go back and have a little talk with Jesus and find out where we supposed to be on the side of the law. I have watched this thing happen, and we've seen it just progress and progress and progress. And for those that know about my house situation in Prince George's County, you know, people have said to me, we don't understand. Why is it that you're not in your home? Why is it that all these things continue to happen? It's as if we're living in a third world country. And they were talking about the corruption at Prince George's County circuit court system. Okay, that's what they've been talking about, because corruption is here and it's here to stay, because it just is. It was in the beginning and it's going to be until the Lord calls us home. And so people would say, I don't understand, Sharon. You hold a certificate of satisfaction in your hand. How can they do that? Because it's clear. But corruption does what corruption is created to do. And there's no stopping it. And so I say all of that to say, in May of 2011, May 6, 2011 to be exact, after winning my case in court that I own my property, I was then, after the judge ruled in my favor, thrown in jail, shoulder dislocated, my hands, because they kept playing with the handcuffs and messed up the nerves. I had to stop working in dentistry to the degree that I was working in. They shackled my feet. They beat me up so bad, because here's what they said to me. I was trespassing on my own property. These people just got up to the Capitol's door. How does it happen? And who's going to go to jail? Ain't nobody going to be beat up. It's just like Dylan Roof. When I thought about what happened with that young man who was shot, 7 or 8 times in the back? And you can't find a reason to make somebody be responsible. But Dylan Roof goes into a church and he shoots up 8 people. I think it was 8. And you give him Burger King? Lord have mercy, Jesus. I'm telling you, family, it's time to reboot. We have got to reset the clock. We have got to begin to pray without ceasing. We've got to get to the place where we stop sitting by and letting things happen just because we don't want to get involved. If we don't get involved now and just show up on the right side of justice, yes, God is going to deal with this thing. But God is also looking for somebody to be his mouthpiece. God is looking for somebody like my tombstone will read, that she stood for what was right, righteous, and just. Because these things, I don't care how often they happen, it does not make it right. There's a problem when I get thrown in jail and beat up. Can't work, can't take care of myself anymore because my money maker be in my arms and my hand were completely dislocated, completely torn. Half the time y'all have seen me in a cast, having one surgery after the other. But this man causes a riot. He walks the people all up the street for them to do what they do. And he goes back to the White House. And these people, all because you have a few people that are totally demented. I'm sorry, forgive me, Lord, you're right. It's not a few people. I said to you all when he lost that we still had a problem. Because still we have 50% of this world who believes that that man is right in what he's doing. And I know some people are going to get quite offended with what I'm saying. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Take it up with Jesus. But let me tell you about Jesus. Jesus has called us to a place of reconciliation. He's called us to a place to be kind to one another. He says that whom the Son of Man sets free is free indeed. Nobody has a right to make a choice for us. I don't care how wrong it is. If I want to go to hell, let me go in flames, okay? Let me go in flying colors. You can't make me not want to go to hell if that's where I'm determined to go. And so if God has said that nobody has a right to even use their freedom to abuse or make somebody feel less than they are because they want them to do something for them, if this is the word of God saying what's to be, God has given us how we are to operate in this world. But we have to be responsible for ourselves, family. We have to be responsible for ourselves because clearly people will do what they want to do. It doesn't matter. You have a group of senators and congresspeople and all these folks have voted on. McConnell did a great job today, but I'm still confused because I think the other man should have won because I'm trying to figure out how's the man that didn't even go out there and try to do anything to get reelected. He just knew he was, right? He knew it because he knows that the behavior for the sector of people that live in South Carolina, that live in all these, I'm talking Lindsey Graham and McConnell too. I forget where McConnell's from, but all of them. They know that there's a sector of people that believe that black lives don't matter. When black lives do matter, all lives matter. But when a boy can be shot all those times in the back with no evidence of trying to fight nobody, no evidence of trying to do anything, and you want me to believe, but all lives matter. Hell, I know it doesn't. Because if it did, then Dylan Roof wouldn't have gone in that church knowing that he was doing what all y'all white folks want. And let me not say all, because there's a few people that do care about black people. But anytime you think that that's okay, and you say, oh, well, he looked a certain way. Well, look where he was. Well, he probably deserved it. You're a lie. Because if anybody deserved anything, all of us deserve to burn in hell. Because Jesus didn't deserve to have to pay the debt that he paid for us. It's time to reset. It's time to reboot. Because if we don't put a stop to this now, we're going to have a problem. I heard a young lady say on the news that she voted for Warnock, but she didn't like it because he was a reverend and she didn't believe in mixing politics and church. Here's the problem with that. Why can't the people of God go up in the White House and in Congress and begin to make a difference? Why can't we do it? God said that the government would rest upon his shoulder. Why can't we rest there with him? If we know what God has called us to do, then we need to stand and make a difference. Stop being weaklings. Stop being the weakest link. Stop being afraid to stand for righteousness. Stop being afraid to stand up for what you know is right. And I'm not saying go out there and put yourself in harm's way, but come on, family. They throw us in jail if we got locks in our head. They throw us in jail if our skin color don't look like theirs. But we just witnessed a group of people go up to the Congress building, had them have to stop what they were doing to confirm. And I don't understand this. How many times does a man have to be confirmed? That's just dumb all by itself. But anyway, that's part of their process. But how in the world could that happen? All because they want to put a stop to what's right. And that's what happens when people don't believe in God nor democracy. Our forefathers put some things in place. Their intent, some of them may have been right in the beginning. They were doing and working with the best of what they had at that time. And things have to be tweaked along the road. But that's why, family, we have got to stop being afraid. We have got to start running for office, start becoming a voice in our communities, not shirk back just because we don't think nothing is going to change. Let me tell you, they said it was a fluke when Biden became president and took Georgia. What they gonna say now? Because now we got 2 senators from Georgia going into Congress. It wasn't no fluke. I shared with my son earlier today. Biden's time was aligned for such a time as now. And I'm going to tell you how I know. Because here's what God has done. He allowed Trump to show us our flaws. He allowed Trump to be in that White House to show us who we really are. He allowed Trump to put us in a position where we would have to make a decision for our lives. And then he said, okay, now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take it to the next level. What you going to do about it? Are you going to sit back and continue to let it happen? Or are you going to give your voice to what you see to be a problem? Isn't that what God is saying about our brothers and sisters? If we see a man hungry, aren't we supposed to feed him? Well, we see a man that's operating in a way that's going to kill us all. He doesn't care. Remember what he said? He was good because they put him in a hospital when he got COVID-19 and they gave him the medicine that they wouldn't get the rest of the world. He lived. How many people have died? Do we stand by and say that, oh, that's okay? It's not okay. And things change when we start to put ourselves in place to make a difference. So family, it is time. This is a day of reckoning. I listened to T.D. Jakes this morning, glory be to God, talking about a day of reckoning. It's to reconcile. We got to figure some things out, put some things in place, and stop being afraid. Come together, make a plan, find out what's happening in your civic organizations, find out where you could go, even if it's no more than into a recreation center in your communities. Oh, wait a minute, they don't have those anymore, but that's all right, because RandSEIM is about to put a few out there. We have to begin to teach our young folks. Let them know the value that they bring to this world. Speak life into them so that they know that even though they are born with this color, they can still be whatever they want to do. And let me say this too, and I'm going to eventually stop, but whatever I do, I just need you to listen. We know that this whole setup of everything that's happening, and then I'm going to go back to the alignment with Joe Biden. The world would have it, the devil would have it, that every child born in this time frame would come to think that black folks, Hispanic folks, Asian, Indians, anything other than white has always had an opportunity at the freedoms and the justices of life. It is up to us not to keep something in their mind where they want to be fighters, but to encourage them to never get up and to never sell themselves cheap. Because if they do, the minute they do, they're going to find themselves deprived and in places where people are talking about them. Because what has happened right now is there has been this alignment with God, where he has said, listen, this is Joe Biden's time. Joe Biden didn't even have to do a whole lot of all that stuff that they do to run to become the president. God just put the world on pause, and all he had to do was show up on Zoom. I mean, come look at it. Look at what God did. He allowed this thing to be easy for him. We saw Joe Biden's wife, when somebody did try to attack him, she took that woman out. I think whoever it was, she dealt with it. God has set Joe Biden up so that he would be the one to go ahead and put people in place, help us to rise up and see ourselves for who we are, and then we get into that to Congress. But this is where the church, we have got to pray, because while the Democrats have the ability to make some changes for some things that need to be changed, we still can't fall for the hokey doke and think that we don't have to work hard. Think that we don't need to be responsible for our own lives. Think that we can just wait for people to throw us a fish every time we need it, and that's going to be sufficient. No, I feel the spirit of entrepreneurship in every person under the sound of my voice. Go out there and find out what your niche is. Find out what you can do so you're not dependent on the system, because the system ain't gonna always be there for you. God is showing us right now we have got to figure out a way to make a living. And don't say what people aren't gonna buy, because I'm evidence that people buy whatever they want to. They may not pay their rent, but they gonna get that nice pair of jeans. They may not pay their rent, but they gonna get that Starbucks coffee. They may not pay their rent, but that thing that they saw on QVC, they gonna get it. It's time for us to not put ourselves behind a wall thinking that we can't do something because we think that we don't have the resources. Glory be to God. Don't you know that God is your source? You don't need a resource. You need the source. Give your lives to the Lord. Let God allow you to start walking into the doors where you're supposed to go. Open doors, open season. This is your time. Open the windows, whatever it takes, family. We have to do it. We have just witnessed an event, and don't be amazed. It's not going away. Things are not going to get better because Joe Biden gets confirmed. It's only going to get worse because we're in the last days, and God wants us to awaken. He wants us to awaken. These people went on the inside of the Capitol building. They were getting ready to start a fight, a war up in that camp, simply because people were going through the process. And we want to shirk back and say, oh, they'll figure it out. Yeah, they'll figure stuff out. But one of the worst things I ever experienced in my life was being in Annapolis, trying to fight for something that mattered to me. And the only person that looked like me in the building was me. Stand. Come up to the table. Stop being afraid. Galvanize in your communities. One house at a time. Speak life into people. Let them know that they are valued, that they bring something to the table. You ain't got to go to the White House or the Capitol to make a difference in your community. We can do it one godly word and bit of education at a time. We can make it happen. But this kind of behavior with people that say, but Trump stands for things that are in the Bible. Show me where. Maybe I'm the one that's a little off. He don't even know how to hold the Bible. How he gonna show you something? Come on, family. We have got to study to show ourselves approved. So in times like this, we don't smirk and laugh at what's happening. This thing is real. And one of our young ladies last night in prayer, she said we have to pray for the DMV because of what's going to be happening on today. And it's a sad thing that definitely we should be praying, but that we have to pray that for something that was fought for us to have civility, even though I feel like Kaepernick right round about now, the civility was for a group of people, not for all the people, but we about to work on that. We got to make a difference. We have got to show up and stop allowing these sorts of things to take place. How do we do it? Press hard on the reset button. Take your life back. Go to God and say, God, you've allowed me to live in this day and age. Help my mind to be rebooted towards what you would have me to do. What is my place? What is my role? As I watch America find itself on a sled headed straight downhill, what can I do to make a difference? This is that place where we can't talk about other countries anymore, because we got a dictator too. He was just he wasn't disguised. I guess he been saying who he was all the time. Nobody wanted to believe him, but here he is. If there's been one truth in the last 4 years, it's been Donald Trump. He's believed every lie he's ever told. His truth. And he's walked with it. He's tried to even prove it. And then on the other hand, he hasn't cared if you believed it or not. Because all that mattered to him is that he did. And he pushed what he wanted. When are we going to begin to push the envelope that God has given us for souls to be saved, for people to get to know what God has required of us, to understand that God has called us to a place of righteousness, that we can do the good fight? We don't have to be out there in the streets with flags and poles and throwing bottles and all that type of stuff. No. There is something that we can do, and it can start right in our homes. Get back to teaching our young men, our young women, the value of who they are, so they know good from evil, so they recognize and understand good and bad, so they know that they don't have to fall into every group. And if it means that they got to sell their soul out to the devil, that they don't have to do it. There's a set of convictions that they must live by. And if you falter, it's okay. I fail. We run into brick walls every now and then. But get back on a horse. Repent. And ask the Lord to help you go straight. But we have to get to a place as the body of Christ to stand up for our convictions. And this is not right what's happening. And it's all intentional. So if there's a point for today, let's be intentional about rebooting our mindsets in this 2021 so that we can make a difference, not just thinking about going into Congress or the White House or into the political field, but changing our households to think and want to do better, to think and want to do better based upon what God has called us to do. We can do it. But we're the deciding factor on that. Again, I told you, I was thrown in jail, beat up, arm completely torn, nerves completely dead and damaged in my right hand, thrown in jail because they said I was trespassing on my own property. And they got a kick out of it. These people just bust through the doors of the Capitol. I didn't hear not one gun go off. All I heard was noise. But let a black man be sleeping in his car where he fell off to sleep because he was just tired. Or maybe he did have too much to drink. When in the world has it been an offense to fall asleep in your car? Okay, if he was in the driveway, tap him on the shoulder so he can pull over and be in a parking lot spot. But he's dead. His family continues to mourn his life every day. When? When are we going to stand up for what's right? When are we going to stop allowing people to treat us as if we don't matter? when God's word declares that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. He's created us with everything that we need to be. Everything. Y'all, I see myself shaking my head. That's something I don't go for. But anyway, it must be necessary for today. We got to stand up. Again, and I'm not encouraging anybody to go out there and fight and get a gun and none of that stuff. But when we see others doing things when all we doing is sleeping in our bed, you fire a guy for shooting in somebody else's house, but the ones that killed somebody's baby, there's nothing? I don't get it. And I'm good with compassion. I can't even watch certain programs because I don't like fighting and stuff like that. I don't like to see, people at odds with one another. But I do know this. Don't get the smile twisted. Because that's the fatal flaw for most people that encounter Sharon Yvette Harley. I stand for what is right, righteous, and just. I may not always hit the mark, but you better bet I'm going to come with as close as I can get to being just like Jesus. And if that means that I have to go through some good fighting every now and then, so be it. But I know when God allows me to get to that place of having to do some good fighting, God is going to protect me. We can't be afraid any longer. The time has come for us to stand up, stand strong, trust God, and begin to make a difference. People treat us all kinds of ways. That woman that was in the hospital, that doctor who died because her own colleagues didn't even give her what she should have been able to receive as one of their colleagues. They saw her skin and never cared about her deeds. Never cared about her fight to see to it that others would live. It's a problem, family. Our sons go and outside to just play basketball or go to a friend's house. And we praying the whole time they out. My sons, my middle boy, he looks the white card. I remember my oldest son saying, "Come walk with me," because he felt safe in the community that we have our home in, surrounded by, at that time, nothing but white folks. We were the first black family on our row. But he felt safer walking with his black brother, who looked like he was white, than walking outside by himself. And he had every right to be fearful. Because those same people, same police people, while he's working in childcare, they pulled him over on his bike. He was a part of the Explorers program in Prince George's County. They ripped his books, his boots that he had. They called him a pedophile because he had tapes that he would play when he was at work for the children. They loved him. But because his skin color was what it was, they took his bike, they set him on a curb. He dressed in work. He's leaving work. Wasn't nothing wrong with my son. And be careful for this one, because you will find it. Those Uncle Toms, they got our color. They smiling up in the white man's face, getting every handout they give them to do their dirty deeds. And then when God begins to expose some things, they trying to figure out, how did I get here? You got there because I don't care how much you try to hide. Everything done in the dark shall come to light. I know somebody right now in Congress. I got emails from him. I heard My informants told me that you were this. My informants told you the congressman of the United States. What you care about little Sharon Harley? Everything that you see, don't take it for face value. What they say, don't judge the book by the cover. Even if it has congressmen in front of its name. Even if it has state's attorney in front of its name. Even if it has, sadly, officer in front of its name. But be patient and trust God that he will set you up with the right people. Because God, for all of those that try to come up against you, try to do things to tear you down, I'm still not in my home. But I believe as sure as my name is Sharon Yvette Harley, the day shall come where God will restore me. He will bring restitution to me and my children for everything that's been done to us. And for all of these families that have lost their children to the nonsense and the violence of somebody that should have been protecting them, I know how you feel. Because my sons, they would get down every time they saw lights. They get down on the seat of my car out of fear. I even still get afraid because the bailiff said, Miss Harley, somebody want to talk to you. And I got back in that room, 5 to 7 men threw me back and forth up and down that wall, pulling my arms. I had high heel shoes on, turning me around with one arm, playing with the handcuffs, laughing. You know why you here. I don't know anything. But that's all right. God will have the last laugh. You keep on doing the things you do. Devil, your day is coming. You will have to have a reckoning with the Father. For all of those people that your convictions are not strong enough to have you do the right thing. I'm trying to figure out Senator Cruz. I promise I'm getting ready to say bye to y'all because I've been on here too long. That was not my purpose. Senator Cruz. Now, y'all know how, when we were little, they want to see you fight. They say, your mama. Your mama. You invoke the name of my mama, we got a problem. We going to be on that thing. This president said all kinds of nasty things about his wife. And now, forgive the term I'm about to use, but now he licks the man's behind. He kisses his butt. Yep, I'm a preacher. And I will be when I hit the button to share. We got to make a difference. And again, that difference is not to go out and to do what they're doing. But better yet, to stand for what we know to be the truth. According to the scriptures that I read, the truth comes in the Holy Writ, the Holy Bible. And God will lead us and guide us as to what he wants us to do to make a change. All change doesn't have to be loud with crowds and crowns on your head and a group of people following you. God can use one person. He can use a community. He can use young people, old people. We've seen in this pandemic folks that just did things because maybe they just had so much time on their hands. Now filthy rich. Some getting all kinds of things where people wanting to pay them for stuff that they did because they were just lonely, didn't know what to do, whatever the case may be. Family, right now, push the reboot button and let's start over. Because something's got to change. And I dare you to believe that that change starts with you and it starts with me. God bless you. Till the next time.